Flesher, you ready? Welcome. We're going to go ahead and call the special call meeting to order. We're going to start with a moment of silent reflection for our first responders and members of the armed forces, followed by an invocation by myself, followed by the pledge by our county administrator. If everybody will please rise and join us. Dear Lord, as we come together today asking for guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting, help us to engage in meaningful discussions that allow us to grow closer as a community. Bless our efforts with clear insight, our deliberations with wisdom, and our work with clarity and accuracy. Continue to remind us that all we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the greater good of our community and our fellow citizens. May our personal faiths give us the strength to act honestly and well in all matters before us. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I'd like to welcome everybody today. To start our meeting, we're going to have our county attorney give us a rules of conduct dissertation, I guess. I don't know what the word is.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Today is a workshop. A workshop is an informal meeting where the community at large, the interested citizens, the staff of the county that is over here off to my right, and the Board of County Commissioners has the opportunity to learn. This is going to be a learning experience. We have two podiums there for you. Please alternate the podiums. Everybody will have the opportunity to be heard today. Please stay on point and try not to be repetitious. The board will be asking questions of staff. Staff will be informing things to the board. None of the proposers are going to submit any type of presentations today or anything like that. So please remember that we're at a professional meeting and conduct yourselves accordingly, and we welcome you. It's a great turnout. If you could all take a look at your cell phones and silence them, that would be appreciated. Carry on.
Thank you. And again, I'd like to welcome everybody. Just to kind of go over the structure of today's meeting, we are going to have presentation by staff, and then the commissioners acting as a solid waste disposal district board will ask any questions or comments, and then we'll open it up to the public for your questions and comments. So with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Mehta.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Himanshu Mehta, Managing Director for the Solid Waste Disposal District. So glad to see the turnout, and I'm happy to be here participating in the process. So again, this is the special call meeting for the Solid Waste and Recyclables Collection Services franchise. We issued an RFP, and here we go. So in the words of a mentor of mine, he always said this. He said, be a garbage can and not a garbage can't. So start with that.
It's your turn.
Good one.
So today's purpose, we want to present all the options being considered for garbage, recycling, and yard waste and bulk collection. The services start October 1, 2025. So we're certainly way ahead of schedule. The purpose is to obtain public input today. Again, no board decisions today, no impact on customer convenience centers. I wanted to set the stage again on that, that the decision of our franchise collection does not have any direct correlation with our customer convenience centers or Blue Cypress. So hopefully, seeing the audience here today, everybody got a postcard. We sent out over 87,000 postcards inviting the public to participate. And so when it comes to recycling, all residents of Indian River County are affected because our franchise hauler does provide recycling. And looking at this future franchise contract, our hauler will be providing recycling pickup for all residents in Indian River County. For garbage, yard waste, and bulk trash, this only affects residents of unincorporated Indian River County. So I wanted to kind of be clear on that. Again, the postcard, I've got some comments back that this was very confusing. So, some comments here and there. Some people called and they wanted to understand. So I'm glad that, again, the intent was to let the public know that there's a process in place, and we had a special call meeting today. So one of the highlights of this card that I want to kind of touch on to set the stage for today is, what is subscription service? What is universal service? This is something that has come up a lot. So the current program we have in unincorporated Indian River County is subscription service. It's where individual residents opt in to have the franchise hauler provide garbage, yard waste, and bulk services. And the customer directly pays the hauler. The current rate is $11.16 per month, or about $33.48 per quarter. So on the postcard, option 1 and 3 is what represents subscription service. What is universal service? Universal service is where all residents in unincorporated Indian River County would be opted in, and the franchise hauler would provide the services to everyone inside unincorporated Indian River County. The Solid Waste Disposal District would collect the cost for these services via the non-ad valorem assessment, and we would directly pay the franchise hauler on a monthly basis. So again, this is option 2 and 4 of the postcard. Then the other two options, relate to yard waste services. So currently we have where residents who subscribe, they use their own, provided cans or carts for putting yard waste in. They also place it on the curb. That's the current system, and again, that's option 1 and 2 is where customers provide their own containers for yard waste service. The possible carted yard waste service that we've got for option 3 and 4 is where residents would receive 96-gallon cart. Right here in this green cart is the 96-gallon cart. The gray is the 64-gallon cart, and the blue is the 35-gallon cart. So this 96-gallon cart is what we're talking about for yard waste service. The benefit to the customer is a lower price, as the hauler is no longer having 1 or 2 additional workers on the back of the truck, reducing their cost, their liability, and increasing their efficiency. And only those customers with excessive yard waste would pay the extra cost for that. So again, we'll go into a little more detail on those as well. So again, that's to kind of explain some of the things that were on the card. I'm going to go over sort of the objectives and timeline, our current collection system, and the service options in a little more detail. And then we have Bethany with Kessler Consulting. She's going to go over the industry impacts. And then Jennifer's, our purchasing manager, is going to come in, talk about some of the results to date. And then we'll open it up to the SWID board and then ultimately to the public. So overall objectives of the RFP, and I'll back up a little bit. For over 40 to 50 years in Indian River County, started with, I think, Andy Sanitation and whatnot, just a truck and a couple of guys picking up trash. And over the years, we had franchise agreements with 2 service haulers, and these franchise agreements kind of just renewed over and over again. And then for the first time in the history of Indian River County, we back in 2014-15 initiated a request for proposal process. And again, our current franchise was for 10 years. It's coming to the end at September 30, 2025, and that's why we initiated, again, a similar process to what we did almost 9-10 years ago. Overall, it's to meet the service needs and desires of our community. We want to ensure a high-quality service, improve efficiency, improve the recycling program, and again, manage cost. As you'll hear a little bit later, costs are increasing, and we want to be able to manage those as best as we can. And we feel that through this competitive procurement process, and what we're going to talk about is simultaneous negotiations, we're able to meet all these objectives and again, manage costs for our community. Going over the timeline, so we started this back in November of 2022. We provided an update to the board in July of 23, and an additional update back in October of 23 where we updated our scoring. And then we released the RFP back in November of 2023. Originally, the proposals were due in January, but we received over, I think, 170 questions. We responded to all the questions from the potential vendors. We extended the due date to February, and again, and currently we are here at the first public meeting today. Going forward, we're looking at least 2 additional meetings. Again, it'll be the direction of the board as to how slow or fast we move this. We're looking at a second public meeting sometime next month, probably 3 to 4 weeks from now, where we'll come back for some decisions by the board. And then finally, after some negotiations, we're looking at a contract award in May of June of 2024. We feel that this still provides ample time to the potential haulers, 15 to 16 months before start, if they need to order trucks, hire more employees, obtain new carts, and again, way ahead of schedule from the October 1, 2025 start. I know this is a busy slide, but one of the things over the last 8, 9, 10 years that we've heard about the current service and feedback from our community, we took all that to heart. And so in developing this RFP, we started looking at what could we do to sort of improve this next potentially a 10-year contract. One of the things that we have right now is an on-call bulk service. So residents that subscribe for service are able to put out their couch, put out their white goods, their refrigerators, and things like that. No construction materials, but anything that's not sort of attached or can't fit in your cart can generally be considered bulk items. And the hauler has up to 4 days to pick up that item. And so what we've noticed from input from residents and what's really happened in HOAs is HOAs have elected to basically tell all their residents in an HOA, we're going to select the 4th Saturday of the month for bulk, and everybody puts out their bulk, and the truck goes through the neighborhood and picks everybody up. And we've seen that working really well for our community. And so in this new franchise agreement, we basically have asked the haulers to provide routed bulk service. So there'll be a truck Monday through Friday, if you will, dedicated for bulk pickup. Residents would know what their bulk pickup day is. That's the day for them to put it out. A truck will be routed to pick up those items. Again, looking at trying to keep our community clean, throughout the week. Multifamily service is included in all 4 service options. One of the things that's unique about this franchise is currently bulk is not available to multifamily. So that's an enhancement to this RFP process. There are a lot of apartments or condos where you may have a turnover and they don't have an option for bulk. What we've done in this franchise process is to allow multifamily to also receive bulk service. We've also encouraged increasing commercial recycling. It's very important to kind of get our businesses to start recycling. And so we put in some requirements and for goals for our haulers to help us assist with that. We've also seen throughout our community dirt roads, substandard roads, dead-end roads. And so one of the requirements in this RFP was for the haulers to consider our community and provide vehicles that could service some of those types of roads. I think it was very important from hearing from the public that, they're going too fast on my dirt road, or the big vehicles, our roads can't handle some of these big heavy vehicles. Our bridge is very narrow. So we've taken a lot of that input and put that a requirement that they need to basically service some of these roads with smaller vehicles. We've continued to enhance government recycling. I think it's so important for us to lead by example in our community. We want businesses to recycle, And that's great, but we need to do the same. And we have done a great job recycling at all of our government facilities and also county parks. We have locked recycling carts at a lot of our county parks, and we've seen a great participation in that. We've also required community cleanups and special events that the hauler would participate in. The other comment that we've received over the years is about residents calling the hauler, getting somebody on the phone that is potentially not here locally, out of state, for example, and sometimes long wait times or hold times. Or if they get an answer, the customer, the call representative may not know exactly what's going on in our community at the time. Not all the time, but we've heard complaints about that. So one of the requirements in this RFP is we want a call center that's located in our county. We want employees answering phone calls that live here, work here, to be able to make sure that our community residents are getting the answers they need. Also, when it comes to administrative charges for noncompliance, for missed pickups, for spills, leaks, so on and so forth, we've increased those charges. We want our hauler to know that if they're not complying with our contract, that we're going to fine them for noncompliance. The other added benefit we've done is real-time vehicle location requirements. So when we get a call about a missed pickup or whatnot, staff will have access to information about where their vehicle is located. Sometimes, we always tell folks to have your garbage or recycling carts out by 6 a.m. I know some HOAs have restrictions about putting it the night before, but we always say have it out by 6 a.m. Don't wait to hear the sound of the truck. The trucks are very quiet these days to know when to go put out your cart. Because what tends to happen is somebody will wait till 10 o'clock to put a cart out, and the truck had already been by 8 o'clock. But with real-time vehicle location information, staff will be able to look that up and see what time the vehicle was through their community. And then we've also added supplemental services. What I mean by supplemental services is if the customer wants something special, they can request it through the hauler, and the customer that's requesting would pay that extra cost directly to the hauler, even if we consider the possible universal service. These supplemental services are not included in universal. So, for example, cart cleaning or additional carts or excessive bulk waste or yard waste. If a particular customer has those items, they can request a hauler to pick up additional yard waste. If it doesn't fit, for example, in the cart, they can request that service, but only the customer requesting that service would pay for that extra cost. So again, these are just added features or benefits that we've included in this RFP to allow our residents to have more options. I'm going to go into our current curbside collection program. We have a solid waste franchise area and a recycling franchise area. When it comes to this new RFP, the solid waste franchise area basically includes all unincorporated Indian River County as well as Indian River Shores. The program itself, currently we have once a week garbage, once a week yard waste, and as I mentioned, we have on-call bulk pickup. We have over 70% participation currently in this subscription program, and what we're looking at, the change being it's going to go to a week routed pickup for bulk. That's the only change. But what we put out there is close to 50,000 households that would be included in this solid waste franchise area. Again, recycling is included for all residents of Indian River County, and we're looking at a customer count about over 70,000 for that. And again, it's once a week recycling service, and it's included in the landfill annual assessment. I want to mention that so folks understand. We'll present some numbers where recycling cost is included, but I want to factor out right now that recycling is part of the landfill fee that's on the tax bill. And what that landfill fee includes, I think it's around $150 a year right now. It covers predominantly three things. It covers basically when the hauler picks up garbage and picks up yard waste. When the trucks come into our facility, there is no charge to the hauler for that material. We're collecting the disposal of the garbage and the processing of yard waste on that landfill fee cost through the tax program. So we're collecting it from all improved residential properties. Same thing with commercial for garbage. Where all the commercial garbage that gets picked up in unincorporated county or throughout the county actually comes to the landfill. There's no charge to the hauler because we're covering that cost in the assessment. The landfill fee also includes the use of the customer convenience centers. So that's where we're recovering our costs for operating and maintaining the customer convenience centers. And the last part is the recycling cost. So about $2.94 a month right now. Out of the $150, that portion of the recycling is covered in the landfill fee. Last thing I'll touch on is the municipalities. We've basically reached out to all our municipal partners. City of Sebastian just recently entered into a new franchise, so they're not participating with us. City of Vero Beach provides their own solid waste collection services, so they're not participating with us. However, the town of Indian Shores is actively participating in this RFP. We've included their customer counts. Whatever the decision the Board of County Commissioners reach, basically with our interlocal agreement with the town, they would exercise the same option, the same cost, same service to their residents. City of Fellsmere is currently using our piggyback clause, and they may consider doing that in the future. Town of Orchid is also potentially going to be considered using our piggyback clause, and we encourage them to do so. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Bethany Jewell to talk about industry impacts.
Thank you, Himanshu. Good afternoon, commissioners and the community. I'm Bethany Jewell Gray. I work with Kessler Consulting, and I've been the consultant assisting in this procurement process for collection services. And Himanshu invited me to speak with everyone, provide a little bit of what's happening in the industry today, how the procurement process was hopefully shaped to address some of that, and also to minimize some of the cost increases that could potentially come as a result of this. So today's industry impacts. Currently, your system is for automated collection. This improves safety, efficiency, insurance needs. There's a driver that stays in the truck, tips your cart into the truck, and it's really, we're seeing that there's even a cost improvement over manual systems today. So the committee decided to keep with, the SWID decided to keep with the tend towards automated collection. There's an issue of labor shortages. We all know that in the post-COVID world, there's been some issues with labor. So the RFP requested detailed information from proposers on how they'll recruit, train, and retain the employees. The selection committee is continuing the evaluations on this and diving pretty deeply into the proposals that were received. To address some of the manufacturing delays, Himanshu spoke to this earlier. The procurement process was launched very early on, and there is plenty of time to address that, to make sure that on day one of the commencement of services, everybody's ready to rock and roll. Trucks are in place, people are trained, and service performance can be at a high standard for everyone. Technology advances. As we all know with our smartphones and the world of even AI that's emerging right now, there's a lot of advancements that are happening quickly. There's a lot of safety improvements that have happened, cameras on trucks, routing software efficiencies, and the service and performance software that Himanshu spoke to earlier. Those have all been integrated into this RFP process. And while it may appear that new technology is going to cost more, in a lot of ways we're seeing across the industry, these are efficiencies that are standard across the board and are not increasing costs. But there are costs that are increasing. So what are some of those things, and why are we seeing costs increase? Well, we all know costs have increased in a lot of things, all of our services. Labor, wages, and benefits have been one of it. Truck and equipment costs, fuel costs, inflation. A lot of these factors we see in different services, even in our grocery stores. And I think Himanshu hit on this. The county has a very low and competitive rate for right now that is almost a contract that's 10 years old. So there are cost increases that will come up. We did some comparison with other communities, and I always like to express caution when you compare your system to another community system and what that price result might be. once a week collection of garbage, once a week collection of recycling, once a week collection of yard waste may not be the same. Even within some of the municipalities here, we have twice a week collection of garbage, or it's every other week collection of recycling. So while there's not an apples to apples comparison in this chart, you can see the unincorporated Indian River County and the Fellsmere, who is currently under this existing contract, is at a very low rate. There are increases out there. And I think it's important to note that SWID staff in this process and even the selection committee is considering those costs in what they're doing. Price is of importance to them. So what are these RFP options that are being evaluated? This is the postcard that everyone received and that Himanshu referenced earlier. We wanted, and he kind of went into this a bit, but we wanted to really help to simplify this for everyone so that you can understand as you share your public comment during this period, and commissioners, as you ask questions as well, that we can really kind of simplify what are these 4 different options. Subscription. As Himanshu said, that's my choice as a resident, choice to utilize the collection services, and I pay the vendor, the hauler directly. It's billed directly with me, and it is your current system. What is universal? It's important to note the reason that universal was considered here really as a measure of minimizing cost increases and to figure out what those impacts could be. And as Himanshu mentioned, you know, all residential units of single family and multifamily would receive collection services under a universal system, and an annual solid waste collection assessment will be created. And I think it's also important to note here that this is just for the unincorporated Indian River County residents. This is not related to your recycling that, as Himanshu tried to describe before, is provided countywide. And then the yard waste. Is it your current system, which is non-carded? You put out your yard waste on the curb and it's collected, or does it become carded? In addition to aesthetics, we have seen in some proposals come that, you know, carded yard waste can be a cheaper option. And again, it's linking back to that automated system where there's the ability to come, collect your cart, tip it. There's not the need for a helper on the back of the truck to, you know, lift your yard waste up, put it in, or a grapple truck that has to lift your waste up and put it into the truck. So there can be some cost efficiencies there. We're definitely deeply diving and evaluating that with the selection committee now. And it's really, if there is a minimal cost increase, understanding your interest in that today. Is there an interest in having carded yard waste? And now I think Jennifer is going to come and describe some of the RFP process and results to date.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Jennifer Hyde. I'm the county's purchasing manager. Wanted to touch on the process that we've gone through so far and what our current status is. In response to the RFP, we received 5 responsive proposals, which is, from what Bethany has told us, is actually pretty great for the way the industry is right now, so that's great for us. The selection committee began its review of the proposals on February 22nd and had their first meeting on March 8th to kind of identify an initial ranking per service option. And these rankings were each independently reached by each committee member solely based on their own interpretation and understanding of the information as presented in the RFP. As you can imagine, this is a very complex RFP. There's a lot of data that we need to dig through, and each person has may have a different area of expertise in understanding it. So the initial ranking is considered very, very preliminary, but it does give us a starting point. After review, the committee developed 64 questions related to the proposals. So requests for clarification were sent out to all 5 proposers on March 14th, and the responses we expect back by the end of the day tomorrow. Once we get those responses back, we'll provide that information to the committee. They'll review it again, and then we'll reconvene for additional discussions. And throughout the process going forward, re-ranking by the committee members is authorized and appropriate all the way through the process. Ultimately, the selection committee is going to bring final rankings and recommended service options to the board for your consideration. And then upon your direction, negotiations with the top ranked proposers will begin. And ultimately, a final agreement will be brought before the board. Just so everybody has an idea of the criteria. Sorry. We had 4 primary criteria that the committee were scoring the proposals on: qualifications, technical, participation, growth strategy, and financial. This is not a bid. It's not solely based on price. It's based on finding the best solution for the county. And on the bottom, we've listed the members that were approved by the county administrator, who are the selection committee members. It's Sean Leesky, the utilities director; Kristen Daniels, who's the budget director; Heather Christmas from Town of Indian River Shores; Himanshu Mehta, the managing director; and Ron Jones, who's the SWID assistant managing director. And so just to show the initial ranking that was developed, you can kind of see they're ranked down the column 1 through 5, and you can see there's variance among the different options. So the rankings varied based on the service option presented. Next, we'll get to the good part that everybody wants to see. Again, this is very, very preliminary numbers, and we do expect these to change. And once we go through review of the proposals and negotiations with the vendors we end up negotiating with. So you can kind of see the increases that are expected as compared to our current cost of $14.10. But please remember that monthly cost of $14.10 is 9 years old. So there's definitely reasons, as Bethany explained, for why the numbers are going up. And just please note the percent increase in the range of proposals. The percents were rounded, so the math is not quite as down to the penny on that table. And just as a reminder for the procurement process, the cone of silence is in effect. That means haulers and their agents aren't to be contacting anybody in the county, including the commissioners. And SWID, outside of my office, purchasing, we're happy to answer questions. And that also does impact the Town of Indian River Shores because they are a party to this solicitation as well. And with that, that concludes staff's presentation. Turn it over to the board for questions and comments.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right. Commissioners, questions, comments, concerns? You want to start?
Madam Chair, just for the audience's involvement and participation, and we already have been reminded that our recycling, essentially, we're already being billed for that with respect to our trim notices. I did have one question about the Universal, Himanshu, on what are the, we expect savings with Universal, and we're not making that decision today, obviously. What are the surrounding counties doing?
So compared to Indian River County, if
Yes.
you look to the north, Brevard is Universal Service. St. Lucie County is Universal Service. I believe Martin County is Universal Service. And I think even going to the west, they're also Universal Service. So we are surrounded by Universal Service. And if you look within Indian River County, the Town of Indian River Shores, they have a sort of a universal ordinance. All their residents are required to have garbage service. City of Vero Beach, believe also has universal service. Town of Orchid also has universal service. And Sebastian recently also went to universal service. So it's really unincorporated Indian River County and the city of Fellsmere that are currently subscription-based.
Have any of those counties experienced, I don't know when they went universal, less illegal dumping in their communities?
Certainly, I think the opportunity for residents to have garbage picked up at their house, the more convenient that we can make it, I think promotes sort of less illegal dumping, whatnot. Sometimes we see when our customer convenience centers are closed for folks that don't subscribe, or when the landfill's closed, again, 5 days out of the year, we tend to see that somebody's taken the time to drive all the way to one of our facilities and it's closed, and they decide to go ahead and leave it outside our gate. So we see that. Otherwise, they may go and go to a vacant lot and place it there. So I do believe that universal service will help reduce illegal dumping in terms of providing right at the source an opportunity for residents to properly dispose of their trash.
And the savings to the taxpayer would be that the county would pay the hauler once a month from ad valorem dollars, and the residents would not have to pay every quarter, either electronically or by mail. So that savings would reduce the accounting practices for the hauler, essentially, and hopefully return the dollars back to us.
Generally, that's what we see in the industry, and that's what we've seen on the preliminary pricing, is that if you look at the one chart that Jennifer put up, the lowest sort of initial preliminary pricing was for universal service, a non-carded universal service.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, thank you. Once again, could you remind us the percentage of subscription service currently, the most accurate that we have?
Based on the information we have from our monthly reports or whatnot, we're looking at over 70% of residents within unincorporated Minerva County that subscribe for service. As we've seen our community grow, a lot of residents that come from other communities, they already have universal service. So they're happy to have garbage picked up in front of their house. We see a lot of HOAs going to sort of, there's an encouragement that if everybody within the HOA has garbage service, the HOA currently would get like a 10% discount. So there's a process in place, and a lot of HOAs have taken advantage of that savings to have universal service for all their residents.
Madam Chair, forgive the interruption. By show of hands, how many in attendance are subscribers?
They can't hear you. Somebody can't hear you.
How many in attendance are subscribers to waste pickup? Yep. Well, congratulations. It looks like you're reflective of our community estimates, about 70%. That's very well done, and well done by you all, too. With that, it doesn't change the discussion. I just wanted to know the number on that. Ms. Hyde mentioned something, and I realize that we can't give exact numbers as we're going through the process, and nor can we really discuss it. But those are the best case estimates, and they were also, we were advised that there will be a change. Could you prognosticate a little bit about any possibility or what your feeling is on a change? Should we go in one direction or stay with subscription?
I just want to clarify, the numbers that we show, we hope, are the worst-case scenario, because we will.
That's what I wanted to know.
Okay, and I'll let you address the rest.
Worst case scenario, so we'll have a better indication on what view of savings, but it won't be until after the decision. That's a difficult decision as well.
Yes, Commissioners, our direction that we're going on now and what we recommend, again, we're, like Jennifer mentioned, there's a lot of questions that we've asked of the haulers. We're looking to get clarifications back tomorrow. We're going to continue with the selection committee to evaluate all the proposals, continue with our ranking, and beyond today, in about 3 to 4 weeks, our goal is, as a selection committee, is to come back to the board with a recommendation of one of the 4 options. And along with whichever recommendation, if you select our recommendation or if you go with one of the other options, we will still give you a ranking of all 5 firms. So, and ask you that to make a decision on one of the 4 options. Whichever option you choose, we will then recommend that you allow us to negotiate with the top 2 or 3 firms for the option that you select. And then a month or 2 later, we will come back after negotiations. There'll be a separate negotiation team selected by the county administrator. At that time, we'll be able to come back with a recommendation for award to the best company with the best price for you to award the contract to.
Regardless of size of container or subscription as opposed to universal. Could you remind us the impact on any of the convenience centers?
Again, yes, for the record, this franchise agreement is only for the collection of solid waste, yard waste, bulk waste within unincorporated Indian River County, and for the pickup of recycling throughout Indian River County. It is not, this contract has no oversight or cost related to the customer convenience centers. That is a separate contract that we have with a vendor right now. And that contract is also expiring September 30, 2025. But we have initiated a separate RFP process to renew or to basically have a new updated agreement for those customer convenience centers and the landfill. But this process currently has no impact on that contract. So the decisions you make with any of the four options will not, and I'll simply say, we are not closing any of the convenience centers. We're not reducing services at any of the customer convenience centers. That this selection of whichever option you choose will not impact any of those services.
And it still will have the capacity to be able to reduce the price of waste pickup service?
This RFP?
Yes.
As, based on the sort of the procurement process and what we've seen, I mean, we have 5 qualified companies that have submitted responsive proposals. Based on the preliminary pricing, they vary, as I think you saw on one of the slides here. There's a big range on what they've submitted for pricing and on the various options. We believe this pricing to be preliminary, and ultimately we want to try to get you the lowest cost possible for whichever option the board ultimately selects.
And finally, as we have a subsequent public hearing, would we be able to get closer to a fine-tuning of the numbers' impact on the citizens?
The
In the
financial,
unincorporated area, yes,
the financial impact?
yes.
The next board meeting and the staff's recommendation or selection committee's recommendation is going to be based on the current pricing that we've received to date. So the numbers that you have on the slide, where I'll just pick option 1, it's $24.16. That's the lowest price that we have right now for, if you will, maintaining subscription service, with the change being to weekly pickup for bulk. That's the most comparable, correlation that we have. So from going from $14.10 to $24.16 is sort of the lowest price for that option. We could expect, when we come back to you next month, that's the price. We are not asking any of the proposals or vendors to come back with a different price. So between today and next month, that's the price that you'll see again. These 4 lowest prices that you see, that's what you'll see again in terms of that. However, we as a selection committee still need to evaluate, get answers back. We're still evaluating all the proposals, and we'll have a final recommendation for you as to which is the best company, the best price, who has the, our job as a selection committee is to make sure that they were responsive, that they're qualified, that they have the resources, the number of trucks, the number of employees, that they basically have answered all of our questions and met all of our requirements of the RFP. So we'll continue to do our job and bring you back a recommendation next month, but it will be based on this current pricing. Once the board selects the option, then the following meeting is when we will have completed our negotiations with the goal of getting you more reduced price compared to where we are now.
Thank you much. No further.
Commissioner Ehrman?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Monsieur, let's talk about the recycling a little bit. I don't know if a lot of people understand that we're already doing countywide recycling, and it's already in the tax bill, correct?
That's correct. So essentially, we have universal recycling throughout Indian River County. When Years ago, when I started and joined SWIT about 17 years ago, we had the 18-gallon, bins and that residents had. Back when I started, the truck driver would get out. He had 7 compartments on the truck. He would get up and pick up the bin, and he would put metal in here and glass, 3 different types of glass that he would separate out in front of each person's house. It was a very cumbersome process. From there, we shifted to dual stream, where we made life a little easier. The trucks only had 2 compartments, so he would take the paper bin and put it on one side, then he would take the mixed bin, if you will, with the glass, the aluminum, and throw it on the other side of the compartment. And then fast forward to 2015, the current franchise agreement we're in, we went to single stream, we went to the carted recycling program. We saw participation increase, and the tonnages that we were basically pulling out of the landfill in terms of recycling continued to increase over these last 10 years. So we're doing great, but at the same time, there's challenges with recycling as well in terms of contamination, and I can address that a little bit more if you like. But so it's a great program, the carted recycling system that we have. We want to maintain that. But the way we cover that, because we provide it to all residents of Indian River County, it's currently included as part of the landfill fee on the tax bill.
So everybody in the county gets a recycle bin, so contamination's been a problem by people putting garbage in their recycle carts. Is that what?
That's correct. So folks that do not subscribe for service, certainly not trying to encourage anybody to do this, please don't. But the folks that don't subscribe, they have a recycling cart. Everybody should have a recycling cart. And the folks that don't subscribe, that don't go to the convenience centers, that don't come to the landfill, they unfortunately put their garbage in that recycling cart because they know the truck is coming once a week to put, to pick up that cart. The driver doesn't have an X-ray machine. The lid is closed. The driver can't see what's inside, so the driver will pick it up. Now, albeit staff does an amazing job going out and doing audits several times a month to various communities. We get phone calls from residents, which we love, that says, hey, my neighbor's putting garbage in their recycling cart. Please come check it out. Our staff goes there. We'll warn them. We'll provide some warnings, some education. This recycling carts are recycling only. And worst case scenario, we've actually had to pull people's recycling carts because they're just not participating in the program. What happens when you mix garbage with recycling, when it goes to the processing facility in St. Lucie County, it just ruins the program there. They have contaminated bales. They cannot sell, a contaminated a bale of cardboard, if you will. It'll get rejected. So it really hurts the whole recycling program when we have sort of pockets, if you will, of folks that are putting garbage in their recycling carts.
So if we went to universal route, it just should technically help that contamination process because those people that are currently doing it, whether it's a rental house maybe or something like that, would have the gray garbage cart to put their garbage.
That's correct. I think with universal service, the hauler would provide a gray garbage cart to all residents of unincorporated Indian River County, and hopefully, again, it does take education because as Sue Flack and Jill, our recycling team, will tell you, there's a lot of wish cycling going on. And so people will say, I'd like to recycle this, and they wish it's recyclable, and they'll put it in the recycling cart. So there is continuous education that's required to make sure residents know what is recyclable, what is not. We have a wonderful app called Carter's Corner. You can download it on your phone and ask the question, is this recyclable? And I'll actually tell you if it is or not. So we're doing a lot to educate, and we continue to have to educate. We're out in the schools and in the community educating folks about what's proper recycling.
Okay, my next question's on the yard waste carts. I still do all my own yard work and everything, stuff like that. I've got a ton of areca palms, and most of you probably know what those are in my yard, and they can be 8-10 foot in length, depending on the areca palm. I lay them out currently right now in a nice little order. The driver picks it up. They picked it up this morning, and they haul it off with a 2-man operation, like we were saying. In that yard cart, it's either I'm gonna have to break them or put them in that yard cart with them sticking out 3 or 4 foot above the green cart. Is that something that if there's a lot of them you put out and you get the you call them and the bulk load come, and is that an additional charge? Is that additional charge for that, Jude, because I can't fit them all in the cart?
Sure, no. I'm going to put up a slide here real quick. I think we have one at the end. Right there. So we had staff go up to Brevard County where they have carted yard waste. These are pictures of carted yard waste up in Brevard County. As you kind of see, there are, vegetation sticking outside of the cart. They were able to witness that all of these carts were emptied by the automated truck system without any issues or problems. Residents, again, had multiple carts. Our franchise agreement initially provides one 96-gallon cart. Residents that would, require 2 or 3 carts or whatnot, they would be able to purchase carts, additional carts for that. And again, it's a one-time purchase of an additional cart. The overall monthly cost would not change for the pickup, but if they require more yard waste carts, they would be able to buy them. So that's one way to sort of handle additional yard waste. If it doesn't fit in the cart, and what happens right now with the yard waste cost is, I'll be honest, I don't really put out a lot of yard waste. It doesn't go out every week. Once in a blue moon, I'll have some stuff. So right now, the yard waste cost is passed on to all subscription customers, if you will, right? People that use it or don't use it still sort of pay the same rate. With this new program, the carted yard waste, either subscription or universal, the customer decides that one cart is enough. If they want additional carts, they can purchase additional carts at a one-time cost. However, if they have excessive yard waste, the excessive yard waste, we have as an optional service, supplemental service. So whether it's subscription or universal, if the customer has extra yard waste, what we've included in here, all the haulers have included at least 2 what we call claw trucks. That's required in this franchise agreement, so that the claw truck, the driver picking up the cart would realize that the customer has excessive yard waste. Maybe there's a communication or a phone call to the resident, and the service is provided with a claw truck to pick up that excessive yard waste. But that additional cost is directly borne by that customer. So that cost is not passed on to everybody else. So if you have excessive yard waste, you would get a separate bill for that collection for that one time. It's not a recurring cost. It's if you need it, you request it, and you'll pay directly for that service.
For now, okay, reserving the right to come back. Commissioner Moss.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question and several comments, actually based on emails that I've already received from some members of the community. So thank you for already participating. The question had to do with universal service and snowbirds. So how would that be handled? Could they opt out seasonally? How would that work?
No, great question, great question. Unfortunately, no. Universal service is going to be implemented through the tax bill. So once the trim notices go out, once the tax bill goes out, if universal service is implemented, then that cost would be on the tax bill to all unincorporated Indian River County residents. And, there is no sort of vacation hold or seasonal hold or anything like that would be applicable. Because we wouldn't be able to individually, reach out to the property appraiser and the tax collector and say, okay, we need to reduce this cost for 3 months for this customer only. It's unfortunately, there is no way to implement that type of program.
Okay, thank you. Then it was interesting to me, there were comments on both sides of this 96-gallon cart issue. So some people said it was not large enough if you have a large yard, you're maintaining a large yard, or for large families. It's not large enough. And then there were other people who said that the 96-gallon cart was too large and too unwieldy because they like to walk around the yard to do their gardening and they don't want to be dragging this huge thing. And plus they said it would get heavy. And I don't do gardening myself, but I understand that it would get heavy if you have to drag it around the yard. So just, and we'll hear from all of you, and by the way, thank you, and I'm happy that all of you are here. But so that leaves me, hearing both sides of this, of the 96-gallon cart issue, it leaves me thinking that perhaps, customer-provided carts, might be the way to go, but I'm certainly interested to hear what all of you have to say on that. And finally, this has to do with cost, being cost-conscious, and I am, and I think, all of my colleagues are. But this was from one individual who wrote in that for this person, homeowners insurance went from $1,000 to $4,000 and increased. I'm sorry, this was the increase. Homeowners insurance increased from $1,000 to $4,000 in just 3 years. Groceries doubled. And I'm quoting this exactly what the person wrote. Even if only $12 a month, it cannot afford that kind of increase in expenses. And this is a direct quote, "It's not paradise anymore when we can't afford to live here." So, that person wrote that. That was the closer. That was a closing line. And just to state again, I think, I'm certainly cost conscious, and I think we all are. So, thank you again for being here, and look forward to hearing from you. More comments, questions? Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair,
Okay, yes.
if I may just address real
course.
quick on the carts. So we do start with a 96-gallon cart, but as you see in front of you, there are 3 cart size options. So customers, we basically have a provision in our franchise agreement going forward that there's a 90-day period that, customers would be able to request a free exchange to a smaller cart if they would like, or, so again, we've generally seen that folks like again, with yard waste, if they're doing a lot of yard waste, if they have a big yard, we felt that, we should start with a 96-gallon cart. A lot of people, again, use multiple cans to put out yard waste. So that was our initial, intent, was to provide a big cart, but they would have an option to exchange that for a smaller size cart if they will. So I just want to clarify that.
Thank you for clarifying.
Just a couple of quick questions. The figures that you gave us, they are per quarter or per month?
Those are per month.
Per month?
Per month.
Okay. And do you have an idea of what percentage of the recycling cans are contaminated on a weekly basis, if you know?
Over 55%.
Over 55% have contamination in them?
Yes.
Wow.
That is a problem.
Is there, can you estimate a cost associated with that contamination?
I will say that
Come on up.
Sorry, Sue, you thought you were not going to have to come up. This is Sue Flack, our lovely recycling extravaganza.
I will say, so in the process of recycling, our material goes to St. Lucie County, to our MRF Materials Recovery Facility down there where it is sorted and baled and sold. And it is commingled with 5 other counties. So the good news is our county has probably the lowest contamination rate of all the other material that's coming in there. So we are doing a good job of recycling. So right now, we are not suffering any costs with our material. We're not getting any turned away.
Okay.
Because if our loads were coming in very, very contaminated, they would certainly turn us away. But
When you have a contaminated cart, are we talking about, like, somebody throws in bags from the grocery store and
Yep.
that's it? Or are
No.
we talking about the 55% of the entire cart is trash?
if I may, I've seen everything in those carts except for ex-husbands, and I might have seen those too. So, bowling balls, garbage bags, hot water heaters, hot water tubs, bicycles, axes, doorknobs, food, clothing, wall-to-wall carpeting, aluminum siding, gutters. Yeah.
Thank you.
Because it's metal doesn't mean it's recyclable.
Very good. Thank
Not to be
you.
negative.
And we are not going to go out for an RFP for ex-spouses, period,
Bill would shut that down quickly.
very quickly.
Himanshu, I have a few questions. to follow up on the yard waste container conversation, if we did not do carted yard waste and people were allowed to put their yard waste in their own containers, there's still a finite amount of containers that one can put out on the road that would be picked up without having to call for bulk or something like that. Because I think we had an email that said I could easily fill up 8 to 10 of my own containers. Even with non-carded, that would not be allowed.
That's correct. So we have a weekly limit of 4 cubic yards currently for the subscription program. If we were to remain in terms of non-carded, whether it's subscription or universal, if it was non-carded program, we would still have that 4 cubic yard per week requirement. So the hauler, again, it's tough to judge what a 4 cubic yard is, but the hauler would basically, if it's excessive, they would pick up about 4 cubic yards and leave the rest there. Then again, there could be a bulk waste pickup or whatnot, directly between the customer and the hauler.
And if somebody needed more than, say, one 96-gallon cart to accommodate their landscape material or yard waste, they can contact the hauler and they would be provided those to a point, and then they could buy additional ones?
Right. I think currently we have a limit of like 4 additional carts or four total carts, per customer. Again, we're trying to improve efficiency and whatnot. We certainly don't want people buying 10, yard waste carts. Again, the idea is that there is a reduction in cost because the hauler doesn't have extra employees in the back. There's less, improved safety, less liability. They're able to keep the driver in the vehicle and quickly and efficiently pick that up. So there is a point of sort of no return, if you will. So we do have some requirements or provisions in there about limiting the number of carts right now. But the overall idea is that they can request, if it's excessive, they can keep it outside of the cart and they could request an excessive bulk pickup.
Okay, thank you. And then one of the other comments and emails that we've gotten is, we just want to leave it how it is. So can you speak to that? My understanding is we can't just leave it how it is because the contract is expiring. We have to go through this process, so we have to come up with a new contract, correct?
That's correct, yeah. We have a county ordinance that says our franchise agreements are limited to 10 years, max. So we have to go through this process. Again, we've started this early enough to allow input from residents, time for the county commission to have all the information you need to make a decision early enough before the contract expires. I think it's been a great procurement process so far. To have 5 companies interested in working in Indian River County, it's been great. Again, they've asked a lot of questions. We've answered all those questions. And so it's been a great process so far. I'm really happy about the process. I'm happy about this meeting today and to see all the residents here. I know people are going to have different opinions about what direction we're heading, but that's the whole point of today is to get that input. But yes, the franchise agreement is expiring. In terms of the future, what I say is I think you've heard the costs are rising. They're higher. We're one of the lowest costs right now. The costs are higher all around us, if you will. We're seeing the pricing that we provided to you on that one slide. I want to emphasize this. This is the cost starting October 1, 2025. So I know there's people that probably do trading or futures trading or whatnot. I don't know what the price of fuel is going to be in October 2025 or the cost of eggs or milk in October 2025. But we've asked these 5 haulers to provide pricing starting October 1, 2025. So it is a little bit of a sort of future cast for them as well to make sure that they can cover all their costs to provide that service. So it is certainly higher than where we are now. But again, it is a projected number for the future.
Thank you. I can't even project what some of those numbers are going to be for tomorrow, much less years from now. So my last question before we kind of open it up to the public because other commissioners have asked great questions that mirrored mine. Related to the dirt roads and some of our further away communities, how, I'm thinking about way out at Yeehaw Junction. We go all the way out to Blue Cypress and Yeehaw. How are those communities going to be served? Specifically, I know at Blue Cypress, they don't have door-to-door recycling service because that community, the roads are so small. So they kind of bring it outside and it's collected at one point, I guess more of like an HOA, even though they're not. How are we going to handle that? And then some of the further away ranches and those types of things?
Sure, no, great question. So one of the things that, again, we've been hearing that throughout the 8-9 years, because once we implemented sort of the carted recycling program, we delivered a recycling cart to every resident in the county and even to the rural areas, right? So these trucks have been going up and down the roads. When we had the 18-gallon program, people would come to our offices or several locations to get those 18-gallon bins. And so a lot of people didn't even have the recycling bins, right? But when we went to carted recycling, we passed out those carts to every resident in the county. And so a lot of those folks over the last 9 years have expressed concern about heavy trucks going on dirt roads, going too fast, and so on and so forth. So we've taken those concerns to heart. We made it a requirement that the substandard roads, ultimately, it'd be the Public Works Director that would basically designate, if you will, for the county, what's considered a substandard road, narrow bridges. And so with that provision in this request, we basically required the haulers to provide smaller vehicles that can handle those those services. And so far, what we can see is they've responded. So.
Okay, good. Awesome. All right, commissioners, any other questions or comments at this time? No? All right, then I am going to go ahead and open it up to the public, but real quick, just to give some rules and parameters. There are 2 microphones, so you guys can queue up behind each one. When you get there, please state your name and address for the record. And there is a lot of people, and everybody is welcome to comment. But I would ask that if your comment is the exact same as somebody else's comment, maybe you just concur with them or that type of thing, just so the people that have different comments might have the time to do that. So welcome. I don't know who's going to, we'll let Mr. Atwater first. Come on up.
Okay, for the record, Bob Atwater, Town Council Member, Town of Indian River Shores. Just a question based on the discussion that occurred. I get the sense we're going with a fixed price contract and not having an inflation adjustment clause. And if we are going with a fixed price contract, have you considered an inflation adjustment clause? I think you'll get a better initial lower price on the contract, provided that you can agree to a price index that is a third-party one that's fair, that cannot be manipulated by the vendor.
Duly noted.
No, so if I understand the question correctly, in terms of the current pricing we have is as of October 1, 2025. We didn't want to request a 2023-24 price and then not knowing what the CPI index is going to be over the next 2 periods. We didn't want to have that adjustment going on this base price. However, the franchise agreement does include a CPI adjustment annually thereafter.
Thank you. You want to just sit there and answer questions? Okay. Welcome. Name and address for the record.
Name Tim Franklin, 6404 55th Square. Thank you for this meeting and hearing us. Just a couple of things. Question regarding the routed bulk proposed system. I'm concerned about the efficiency of that system. 55th Square is a nice round neighborhood. I walk every day. There's about 70 homes. In the 4 years that we've lived there, I've seen things out maybe 3 times. So if we go to a routed system where once every 5 days or once a month they come around, aren't we gonna have a lot of trucks on the road picking up nothing? And you've got fuel costs, you've got manpower costs, you've got equipment costs. So I'm concerned about the efficiency there. I don't know what's going on in the rest of the county. I can only speak to what's going on in our neighborhood. And it just seems like there's not a lot of call for the bulk pickup.
Okay.
Regarding the yard waste, I love the idea of the large cans, but they can't be the end-all and be-all. Again, if you need more than one, I'd suggest to people, if we do go to this route, just get the cart from the person next to you that has a lawn service that carts the stuff away. Don't buy one yourself.
Good idea.
With that in mind, though, what about when we have hurricanes? Yard waste pickup now during hurricanes. We've had times where we're in Winter Beach and apparently we're on the end of the pickup,
Understood.
what the schedule is. And in times of hurricanes like that, sometimes it'll be 2, 3, more than 3 weeks before we have a pickup. There's a lot of stuff. There's no way that we're gonna be able to do it in these carts.
That's a different contract, but I'll let Himanshu speak to that.
So I guess one of the advantages that we as staff see with carted yard waste is that, typically after storms, the board usually enacts a hurricane debris contractor with claw trucks that come throughout and do sweeps throughout our community. That contractor would be responsible for the yard waste pickup. But one of the advantages that we feel with carted yard waste we could do is we could allow residents to put their garbage in those yard waste carts. And that way, with automated service, we could sort of improve post-storm cleanup of garbage. We see a lot of lines at our customer convenience centers, after a storm. If we could reduce those lines, reduce the impact of the convenience centers by allowing residents to use their carted, yard waste, if you will, allow them for a week or so to go ahead and place garbage in there. We'd have the automated trucks go by and quickly pick up garbage, excessive garbage, I guess, after a storm. But the claw truck services throughout from our storm debris contractors, they would be the ones picking up the storm debris.
So for clarification purposes, after a storm, the current garbage hauler is not the person that comes around and picks up your yard debris. It's a separate contract with the claw trucks, so that's one of the reasons it takes so long. With the carted service, what Himanshu is saying is we would have the opportunity to also utilize the hauler to help get some of that out quicker. So we would actually have kind of two contractors working on some of that debris and garbage pickup.
Okay, thank you very much. And then finally, just my own personal preference, I'd like to see us go to a universal system. Everybody generates garbage. Whether you're subscribing or not, you're generating garbage that's going someplace. We may as well have it handled properly. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, name and
Hi,
address.
Mary Pittman, 631 16th Street. I've been here since 2006. There's a problem with yard trash where it's not getting picked up, and I'm not sure why, but I thought I'd bring it to somebody's attention. For example, on the corner of 7th Avenue and 16th Street and on 7th Avenue, I think it's because it belongs to a business. And I don't know if the businesses are responsible, but there's one pile there that has to have been there for a minimum of a year.
Okay, 7th Street and 16th, you said?
7th Street and 7th Avenue and 16th Street.
7th Avenue and 16th, okay.
You probably need
That's
the
the
claw
city.
truck, because I bet there's varmints and critters living in there.
So that's the city of Vero Beach?
Yeah, that would, it appears by the address you get, it would be the city of Vero Beach. And to clarify, if you have subscription service now, you have yard waste pickup. If you do not have subscription service, the yard waste does not get picked up. So
Okay.
that could be another scenario for.
I think I'm
addressing this
actually,
area.
on the other side of my street is the city of Vero Beach, and I'm the
You're-
county.
Okay, that's
County.
possible. Well, we
I'm
can
right on
look
the
at
dividing
it.
line.
We wrote the address down. We can look at it. But you are correct. Businesses are different than residential. This particular contract that we're talking about is residential specific. So it's not for businesses. Businesses, you want to touch on that real quick?
Sure. So it does include commercial garbage pickup for businesses within unincorporated counties. So that is a service we have now, and our businesses would continue to receive pickup.
There you go.
There's also yard trash, like, you've got the street here and a house facing that way and a house facing this way, and somebody has decided to put the yard trash like right on the line between the two.
Okay.
It doesn't get picked up, there's grass growing up over it.
Okay. We can have somebody look into that.
Okay.
So actually, I think Hamachi is going to give you his card. And we did write down the address, but if you want to shoot us an email with the details, we'll see what's going on and what we can do to address it.
Okay, thank you.
You're
And I'm
welcome.
for universal
Okay,
too.
thank you very much. Hi,
Thank
welcome.
you. Hi, my name's Nick Bianco. I'm here representing the Citrus Springs Masters Association, located at Citrus Springs Boulevard between Fifth Street and Oslo Road, a community consisting of 7 villages and 550 homes. My comments will be two things. One, I can't imagine us having 3 barrels in our garages and 2 cars. We have a rule in our community that you don't put your containers out until the day of delivery or the night before the delivery, and they have to be removed and the day after the delivery. And you cannot store them on your property. You have to put them in the garages. Now, this is almost impossible to have 2 cars. We don't have tremendous garages. And so that would be a burden to our community. My second comment is that hopefully, whoever you choose to be our supplier, that you at least collect a bond for our communities, because, as you know, HOAs, we have to pay for our roads, not you, the county. And we've had experience with waste management just recently, again, 2 times in 4 months, dropping hydraulic fluid all over our roads. And right now, we're in possible litigation with them because your bond that you collect, we can't hit it. When I called the county about them destroying Fifth Street Southwest with this hydraulic fluid, they thanked me for it and said, well, we have a bond, we can take care of our roads, but you have to be on your own. And so the supplier that you have some checking that you can make sure that if they destroy private property, that we have a mechanism to recourse on that point. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your input. Hi, welcome. Name and address for the record.
Martin Steiger, 318 Sebastian Crossings Boulevard, Sebastian, Florida. I'd like to start off by saying thank you to the board for having this hearing, to giving the people an opportunity to speak out, and so that you can get their feelings and their situations, to get the feedback that I think is necessary for you to make the right decision. I can understand you have the specialists here to tell us about all their costs and everything going up, and needless to say, everybody else is feeling the pains of going up. Myself, there's only my wife and myself in my household right now. And the recycling, I appreciated that because I pay for it through the county. And I've utilized it since I moved here. Now, everywhere I moved from, I've been here like 16 years now. And I started off with one community, there was no garbage pickup available there. So for like 3 or 4 years while I was there, I had to take it all to the recycling center. Then I moved to another location, which is a new community, and that was in '08. And there weren't enough houses there for garbage pickup, but we had the recycling, so. And I used to, so for almost 15 years now, I've been taking my garbage to the recycling because nobody would come and pick it up until the community got finished. Then they started picking up garbage. Now the town of Sebastian didn't give us the opportunity for the feedback. And they went ahead and made it a universal pickup now in Sebastian, which, like I said, ever since I came here, nobody would pick it up, and all of a sudden now they're saying you have to pay for this. Now I'm on a set income. My wife and I are basically living almost on our Social Security. And they added to my expenses every month $20 extra for services that I never used, never wanted. And the other service that I get from the county, I utilized, and that worked out great. I would take my garbage and drop it off. I don't have to go shopping. On the way there, I would go to the recycling, take my garbage there. It was like no problem. Now it's like $20 extra a month. I don't know where it's going to come from. I mean, it's like I'm over 80 years old now, and I go get a job. Nobody wants to hire me. But it's sad to think that I don't think they take into consideration the people like myself that are on limited incomes. Also, I got a garbage bill big as that one over here. It's a recycling bucket. It takes 3 weeks for me to get enough recycling in there to make it worthwhile to put it out by the curb. I figure no sense of truck stopping for 1 week's supply is like this much only in a can. So it takes about 3 weeks before I said, okay, I'll put it out by the curb for them to pick up. So it's, like I said, I'm thankful that you've at least taken the time to give us an opportunity to talk. And unfortunately, my town council didn't do that. They went ahead and made a decision before they even had a public hearing, which really upset me. And it's to the point where I wish I could talk to somebody to find out if that's illegal for them to do. They didn't have multiple offers. They only said they only had one offer. They didn't prove and show any proof that they made multiple offers or had requested it or answered.
Right, and that's one of the
it's like
reasons why
all of a
we
sudden
started
they
this
say-
process so early, so we
Yeah.
could get multiple offer and provide the opportunity for the residents'
Right.
input. But I just want to touch on something that you said earlier about having a very large cart and not needing that size. Hamachu, if somebody is given a 90, what is it they get first, a 64?
64 for recycling. Certainly, the small 35-gallon cart would be available to you. We can swap your current recycling for something smaller.
Well,
Yeah, so you could size up or size down to get the right size for you, because you could probably fit in the 96-gallon cart yourself.
Well, I had the big one
You could turn it
now.
into a jacuzzi tub.
I've had the big one now for 8, 9 years now. I had the same one, and like I said, it takes about 2-3 weeks before I even bring it out, because we don't have that much.
Yeah.
There's only 2 of us. And even
Understood.
the garbage, it's like, I use shopping bags, for my
Mm-hmm.
garbage, basically, and when I'm going past to go, like I said, to go to the store, I drop it off. It's like,
Thank
it hasn't
you.
been any problem. But now,
I understand.
my budget, on top of all the other increases that we've had in the last couple of years, it's like crazy. It's something that I hadn't prepared for. It seems like I'm outliving my income. It's like.
You raise a very
all
good
my
point, and
expenses
we have heard from some of our other residents that are on limited income, and that's something that we'll be taking into consideration. So thank you very much, but
Okay.
definitely give Hamachu a call, and we can see about at least the recycling cart, maybe getting you the right size that you need, okay?
Yeah, but.
Thank you.
Forcing it upon people that don't really need it or want it.
I understand. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am, welcome. Name and address.
Hi, Virginia Shellhammer, and my husband and I actually own 3 properties in Indian River County, 1 in Bear Lake Estates and 2 in Roseland. One of the addresses in Roseland is 8255 125th Place. My main reason for being here is the yard waste proposed change. Roseland and even my property in Bear Lake Estates have very established oak trees. I can rake in one day and fill that. They fall more than one day. So you're talking about me having to go to the Customer Convenience Center, which I have done for the last 30 years, and I think it's a great option. However, North County It really would appear, and it might be, and I know this is probably a separate issue, but just because if you go to this fixed container, people are going to have that extra. I live a mile from the convenience center. I've always taken my extra there. I've never put it out on the road. I can barely get in there today. It is on a regular basis, the yard waste and even the regular garbage is closed because there is no room. And I'm not talking about once a week, and I'm not talking about going in the morning and then being able to go back in the afternoon and it being resolved. That's just not always the case. And, you know, that's an issue. I think if you go to the fixed yard waste, that you would create that additional problem. The alternative is for, you know, the new communities, they don't have the established trees. I'm pretty sure that we want Indian River County to continue to have these gorgeous oak hammocks that we do have, and for these large, you know, majestic trees not to be removed. But if you make it cost ineffective for them to be on our property to maintain ourselves, just like Mr. Ehrman said, we maintain our own property. If I pay somebody, then maybe in their price, they're gonna add, you know, and if I ask them to take it away, they're obviously gonna charge more. With increased prices, I don't understand why we can't stay with where we are there, especially in the unincorporated parts of Indian River County where there are more established oak trees and trees that have more falling, leaves, branches, everything, just on a regular day, not a hurricane.
Got it.
Okay? And I'm sure Winter Beach is the same area. They have gorgeous oak trees there as well, as the gentleman, you know, spoke about earlier. So that's just a major area of concern for us as you consider which yard waste plan you're going to choose. Look at the area that you're actually going to be servicing. You know, I can't imagine anybody not wanting to go down Indian River Drive in North County or down Roseland Road and not have the gorgeous trees that we have that protect our river and help hold the banks in. You know, we need those trees. And I just wanted to express my concern about that.
I appreciate that. And I think that as we move out of whatever decision is made in this process, will shape some of the conversations around the contract for the convenience centers because, you know, based on what comes out of this process, retooling them or rehabbing them or restructuring them to be more responsive to the community's needs will probably be part of that process. So I appreciate your input for this process and the process that'll follow afterwards.
Terrific.
Definitely.
And just a side note, since you mentioned that, in North County, I'm positive that on a regular basis, people from Brevard County are dumping into our convenience center.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you could, I would pay $5 a year for a pass that I put in my car. Or, you know, like when you go in the pickup line to school, you get your little tag, you know, with your name and your number on it. You know, we have to do something to control Brevard County from using our resources for free.
And I see Ms. Burr behind you. She's out at Blue Cypress, and she has the same problem with Osceola, so that's why she's waving and thumbs-upping you.
Yes, and I've lived in other states where they have that. You had to show your driver's license.
We'll be looking at all those
You know,
different options
so,
for
okay,
sure.
very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Welcome. Name and address.
Sure, Dennis Haddix, and I reside at 105 Woodstork Way, Sebastian, which also has the mandatory collection services, and honestly, it works very well. I was a subscriber before, so it was a super easy transition for myself. You know, I'm going to approach it a little bit different. I'm a community manager for one of the communities that are out on A1A. It's called Windsor. And so Windsor and Waste Management, we had collaborated with a solution for collection services. Manchi, you participated with that as well, and it was fantastic. So really what I wanted to share with you was that, so our community, the Windsor community, I do not reside there, I reside in Sebastian, not be wrong. Clarification on that. So the community that we have there, we have a valet service for collection, right? So we have carts that are towed behind electric golf carts, one for waste, one for recycling. It's all collected, comes back to a central location, and then there's a compactor that's at the location. So one is for waste and one is for recycling. So it's a huge effort of sustainability. But to give some credit due, Waste Management came out for us, and I know you're not speaking about any haulers, but I think you should have that insight. visit after visit after visit, different times for this collaboration to make it happen. Was it required from them? It absolutely was not. But they did. They helped source vendors for us. It was a great experience, and they do a great job for us. So I wanted to share it with you folks.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I have a valet service for my garbage too, but his name's James Henry and he's 13 years old, so a little different. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is William Griffin. I live at 8466 96 Court up in VLE. For you who don't know, it's Vero Lake Estates. The problem I have with any of this is when you're mandating someone to take a service they don't need, you're pushing towards socialism. You guys are all Republicans, supposedly. Why would you want to push things on people who don't need it? Say you only live there 6 months a year. You're going to pay the whole bill for 6 months a year when you're a snowbird? There's things you're not thinking of when you want to mandate something, all right? I'll gladly pay a higher price for my subscription a little bit. You know, if their cost is going up, I expect everything to go up. But to mandate somebody have something done is just totally wrong. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate your comments. Welcome, sir.
Name's Dave Jones, 4611 Ashley Lake Circle. I'm subscription, I just as soon stay that way. I'd like to know how long the contract is that we're negotiating with these carriers. Or
The new
these-
contract that we're
Yes.
working on, Himanshu, you want to speak to that?
Sure. So the new franchise agreement would have an initial term of 5 years. After the 5 years, the Board of County Commissioners has the sole discretion of renewing it for an additional 3 years. After that first 8-year term, both parties would have to jointly agree to extend it for 2 more years.
Okay.
So it's a base of 5 with a potential of a total of 10 years.
Thank you. The other thing is, with the subscription, you're pulling 70% of the population. If you go with the universal, they're picking up approximately 40% more business revenue by getting the 30% that are subscribers right now. That price doesn't look to be reflected in the subscription price versus the universal price. There's only $1 or $2 difference, it looks like, and it looks like it should be a whole lot more because they're getting a whole lot more business and they're not having to put out much more to take care of that business. So I'd like that to be thought of.
Okay, thank you so much for
Thank you.
those thoughts. We appreciate that. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Barbara Burr, and I'm out at Blue Cypress Lake. We do not have any type of service like this where we're at. I guess you would consider us a small convenience center or a transfer station. And I'm just here to say that our hauler does a great job for us out there. It represents our community, our county park, and I know people get discouraged when they talk about people coming from out of county to dispose of their garbage. I personally would rather see them disposing it in one of those big, large containers than on the side of our beautiful Indian River County roads. I don't know if you're familiar with Blue Cypress Lake. We have a great amount of tourism that comes out there. And we have a beautiful park, and I know that this whole franchise agreement is not going to be connected to like the centers here. And just for the record, our little village started off as a fish camp out there. And we do not have enough room on our roads to even be able to bring a small truck to provide us this door-to-door service. Many of our homes, you walk out and the road is right there. We don't have curbside, we don't have right-of-way, so these cans would literally be sitting out in the middle of our road. It would be a traffic hazard, a safety hazard. You would not be able to get around the cans. Again, how would the hauler be able to maneuver down our roads? All of our roads are dead end, and there are no turn around areas. Basically, we're just surrounded by swamp out there. And I just wanted to make a notation for any of the commissioners. I welcome anybody to come out there. I'd be happy to meet with you. I've done that over the years with our county people, just really trying to work with a great program, and I'm just really proud of the service that we have out there right now, and I thank everybody for that.
Thank you, Ms. Burr. We appreciate what you do out there.
Thank you.
Welcome. Name and address?
Moses Villapando, 88, see, don't even know where I live. 8366 95th Avenue, Bureau Lake Estates. My comment or question is there any easier way to contact whoever's going to be granted this grant? Because where I'm getting at is the past couple holidays, I forget, and I've been living there for over 20-some years, and I put my trash out, and I said, well, I didn't pick it up. Then I'm starting to call, and then I go through this little game that I call it a game. I actually go through about 4 or 6 different numbers before I get the right number. Can you make it easier, or can you even put it on the calendar for absent people like me that forget that the day of the holiday that it's supposed to be, you picked up the next day? Because there's a lot of people, not only me, my next door neighbor, we put our trash out there thinking of that. But just a friendly reminder of a week before, get our emails, telephone numbers, and remind the courtesy that we will not be picking up trash. So we won't have our trash out there, especially over the holidays. If possible, could that be done?
I know right now we listed on our website, and we do try to send it out like in our quarterly updates and stuff like that. One of the things that is included in this RFP is a local call center, so you're not, calling out of state and getting rerouted, but there would be a local office to call with some of those questions and concerns. But of course, we always welcome feedback on how we can better get information out to the public, so I appreciate those comments.
Yeah, because right now I have Waste Management Indian River County, Waste Managed Hauler, Waste Managed County, Waste Managed Garbage and Recycling Service. These are all, and I go through the little game. I don't know why I don't remember it and why I don't write it down, but that's my problem, I guess.
I have a hard time remembering where I'm supposed to be on a regular basis without an alarm on my phone. God forbid I lose my phone. So I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
And we'll take that into consideration. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Definitely making sure everybody knows when to have it out is a good thing.
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Welcome, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Judy Youngerman, 225 21st Avenue, and I have a question about the difference between the subscription and the universal.
Okay.
I couldn't see all those little numbers up there, but it kind of looked to me like my subscription will go from $34.88 to $75 a quarter. But I couldn't see what the universal would be, but that would go on my tax bill, and then it would kind of be deductible. So that kind of sounds like a good idea.
I like the way you think there, but, so the numbers that were put up there were kind of a range. You are correct that that lowest number for subscription would equate to about $75 a quarter. I'm not exactly sure about the deductibility of property taxes.
Well,
But-
if it's on your bill, I mean, my taxes, I put that on my,
Is it the second home, investment home?
no, it's my primary. My taxes are.
That would probably be a question for your accountant. I'm not sure. If it is, that would be fantastic, but I don't want to say that it is because I don't know enough about that to know.
Okay. And what was the universal? What would that be like quarterly?
Sure, so
Or-
subscription, the lowest price we have for like the option one right now would be $72.48 a quarter. Universal again, with customer-provided carts, would be $67.38. So that's the difference in price, if you will, right now. Again, we want to caution that this is preliminary pricing. We expect that once the board makes a decision on which option, that we're gonna do our best to attempt to get lower pricing than this.
Okay, now you said customer-provided carts. I thought with Universal, you would still get something like this.
So even with Universal, there's two options. You could have Universal with customer-provided carts, which is option 2, or option 4, which would be Universal with carted yard waste. So
He's
the-
talking about, hold on.
Okay.
He's talking about the carts for yard waste. So
Oh.
for Universal, you
Oh.
would still get a recycling
Correct,
cart
yeah.
and a garbage cart.
That's
The
correct,
difference in
yes.
pricing relates to whether you also get a cart for your yard waste or you use your own.
Okay, well, I would like to vote against that big green cart
Okay,
because it's too big for my garage.
okay.
I have to take it out, and I don't put that much yard waste out, so.
Duly noted.
Just
Thank
my
you so
thought.
much.
Thank
That
you.
does, thank you. So for yard waste, they can also downsize,
They can,
correct?
yes, all 3 sizes would be available.
Okay,
Or not at all.
or not at
Or-
all?
I mean, if the customer does not want the cart, we can certainly,
Right.
work that out. I mean, although, again, folks right now subscribe for, service, yard waste is included, and they may not put out yard waste every week. But the cost is in that subscription service. So if we go subscription, with carted yard waste, the cost would be included whether or not the customer puts the cart out or the customer wants to give the cart back. They would have that option, but the cost would still be in the price, again, for subscription or universal.
Commissioner Fisher?
Madam Chair, yeah, this is about the third time we've heard about the size of the carts, and we get it. Is the last time that we rolled it out when the waste service went to containerized pickup, the one-size cart was delivered, and within, I believe, about 6 weeks, after everyone had gotten used to what size or what their preference was, a one-time change was made, so that can be done with any of the carts. I have the big one. There's only 2 of us. It happens. Sometimes it gets filled and sometimes it doesn't. You're absolutely right. But the change will be made, but we have to roll out the carts so that everybody has the availability for service. But it'll be swiftly changed at a date that's prescribed.
Fantastic. Yes, ma'am. Welcome. Name and address for the record.
Thank you. Marie Terranova, 1016 Indian River Drive in the city of Sebastian. I concur with everybody who's against this mandated trash pickup. And I just want to give you my perspective. I'm a single person, mostly a vegetarian. I don't have hardly any trash, and my trash bag is one Publix bag a week that I take to work and put in the dumpster. I totally resent being forced to pay something I don't need, and I've lived there over 20 years, never needed a garbage trash bag.
Okay, thank you so
And I
much.
haven't even paid the bill, and I'm not going to pay it. Let the late fees pile up. I'll never pay for that. I don't need it.
Okay, thank you so much. We appreciate your perspective. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Catherine Wagle. I live at 8060 142nd Street in Sebastian. And like Commissioner Ehrman, I do all my own yard work. And I also have very little grass. It's almost all shrubbery and trees. So I do generate a lot. I normally, in the course of a week, will have 5 35-gallon trash cans. And a lot of times, I don't have enough trash cans for the stuff I have in the yard. At any rate, I'm a subscription, whatever you call me, I'm a subscriber, okay? And that's not really my problem. I generate very little yard recyclables, very little garbage, but this is my major concern. The first question I have is, you talk about excess yard waste. And you said 4 cubic feet or 4 feet cubed?
4 cubic yards.
4 cubic yards. How many cubic yards will fit in one of those cans?
Good question.
That's no 4 cubic yards, in my opinion. That's lucky if it's 2.
One? Yeah. Okay, Commissioner Fleischer says 1 cubic yard.
Okay. So I'm obviously gonna need, I know, in terms of gallons, I know I've got 35 gallon cans, and it would take 2 of those.
2 35-gallon cans?
You do 5 35 gallon
Oh,
cans.
5 35-gallon cans.
Yeah. Okay. But, you know, again, I can live with most anything. My biggest problem with these would be moving them with weight, because I also live on the river and I have substantial grade, and pulling those things around the yard could be difficult, which means I would probably wind up resorting to my usual 35-gallon cans and a wheel horse. You know? And a 35-gallon can loaded is about all that I can move up the grade. And then I have the additional task of transferring, which also makes for a lot of foot-pounds of work. I'm no physicist, but I do know enough that lifting 1 pound, 1 yard is a foot-pound. You know?
You're doing better than me. You're doing better than me with.
Now, I just wanted to bring up, you know, some of the issues for you to consider. I don't expect that my particular needs are going to be the most important needs for the community. But, no, that's about it. I just wanted to make some general comments.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Yes, sir. Welcome. Name and address for the record.
Rod Ricci, 636 36th Avenue, Vero Beach. I've been a resident 3 different locations in Vero for 50 years, so I've seen all of the changes as far as the trash pickup, and I think the modernization of the trucks with the automatic pickup is a terrific innovation. I know manpower is it's a different world. If the phone can't do it or automation can't do it, there are a lot of young people don't know how to do it. I'm concerned with the yard waste. I live on an acre for the past 30 years, and between Republic and then Waste Management, if you follow the rules, you put out your stuff in a container or stacked and don't take advantage of it, it works pretty good. And I think you need to be concerned with maybe the devil's advocate of that yard waste going down the road, because there's just certain aspects that I see that containers and a machine lifting it up, not practical in a lot of ways. Never mind storm-wise or anything, just on a basic, you know, every day. And I've been to Brevard County and driving around and seeing cans, you know, with palm fronds, you know, sticking out, that they put them out standing up, but, you know, a nice windy day, they don't end up that way. So I would just say, you know, look at the good and the bad of everything and concentrate on the bad. The good always seems to work out pretty easy. At least that's what I tell my 39-year-old daughter anyway. Thank you.
That is good advice. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Margo Sadnikovic. I live at 7575 First Street Southwest in Vero Beach. And actually, I was here in the meeting when I've heard first time about it, and honestly, it shocked me. And I'm very disappointed that for this huge, big deal of this contract, I don't know how many people here that less than 50, and we're talking about huge changes in the county. That's really a big deal. You also mentioned that you will be mailing another cards with the email addresses that, no, this is the only one. Even a bigger disappointment, because I don't understand a lot of things. How is it going to benefit county, this contract? is county making any money from that? Because it definitely doesn't benefit us. And everyone is talking about the sizes of these cans and the sizes of their garages, but I think we should talk about more and see bigger picture, what in reality it is. We're talking about long-term contract, we're talking about extension of this contract, increasing on the price, putting all that in the real estate tax, how about the snowbirds? Why they should be billed for something that they're not here full-time? What about land and the vacant lots? Are they going to be assessed for that as well? What about investors whose the expenses, you're making the notes, good for you. The investors who renting their properties and the tenants are paying for all the utilities, including the trash. So it's really much bigger picture than it shows, and there is a lot more behind it in the future that we don't see. I can tell you strong and honestly, I'm here to represent every farmer in this country, and these country are mostly cowboys, and I am a cowgirl. I have a different hat today because I'm working, but I'm usually in the boots and the blue jeans. We do not have a waste. We use all the food, the leftover, for compost because we grow things. We have animals. I have cows. We burn our the leftovers from the trees or after the hurricane, all these yard waste, because the ash, it's absolutely amazing fertilization for the plants. So we don't need that. Have you thought about us? Because like in the COVID, nobody could put the mask on our faces. There's no cowboys, the horns of the cowboys are so big, we will be against of every rules, every restrictions. And I love that guy who said that we're going to a socialism. I came from it. I don't want to see that again. That's why I came in America, to have a freedom, to have a choice. I don't want anyone to force me. I had enough in the Soviet Union. So, and also people mentioned about that, this gentleman said that the options that you will be choosing, I hope not you, I hope everyone will be choosing. I hope, right? So that it is a public's choice, not the commissioners, is that correct? No commissioners?
The commissioners.
Seriously, guys?
Well, we represent the public, and that's why we're getting your input so we can make those decisions. But I totally appreciate your comments. I think that we will definitely add them to the list and take them into consideration.
I can tell you one thing, that the farmers, we will not stop. If that is the way you will be approving, if you will approve that, we will not stop. We will constantly will be applying to remove that. And one of the biggest problems, again, that besides that we don't need any of these services, why should we pay? Also, I would like you to think about the snowbirds. If we would like to have people who will be even retiring in the future, and investors, vacant land, as I mentioned, and the lots, and longer term and understanding of this contract and increase on this price. Gentleman mentioned from Sebastian that it works well for him. I agree, absolutely. Someone who permanently lives in a house, single-family home, because condos, they don't need increase on that, correct? They have a dumpsters. Some subdivisions with the townhomes, they have a dumpsters. That's somehow needs to be also considered. But what is the maximum population of Indian River County who is going to benefit that? I think mostly it's not. And I really, really, I am against that. All the farmers behind me against that, investors and snowbirds.
Right.
I'm very positive from that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
One quick question.
Okay.
On the question of the cost of these containers, who has to, do we pay extra for different size containers? Or the containers automatically are included in the costs?
The initial cart cost is part of the contract. The first exchange is free, so there is no cost to go to a different size container. If you want an additional cart, if one cart is not enough and you want an additional cart, there is a one-time cost to the hauler to obtain a new cart, but your monthly cost would not change.
So what is the cost for an extra one? In other words.
It varies right now. We don't have final pricing. Right now, I want to say currently, in the current franchise, I believe it's $60 for a cart.
But that's already figured into the bid.
That's
When-
part, those
So
questions,
there's
those
not an
answers to that
Not an
question.
extra charge,
Correct.
unless you get an extra container.
Unless you get an extra one,
And they're
correct.
gonna give us 3 containers?
Depending on what option the board goes with,
okay.
yes.
All right, thank you
It
very much.
depends. Hi, welcome.
Hi, thank you. John Shank from 495 23rd Avenue, Laurelwood, unincorporated. I have to say we've come a long way. I remember in the 70s, you could have put a body in the convenience center at 2 a.m. I'm
It's
sure
still kind
that
of frowned
Carol
upon,
Laura
I
would
believe.
agree with me.
Thank you.
Although, I wouldn't know anything about that. Anyway, I currently have the subscription. I think it's working. I think anything close to what we have is great, even if it's part of the taxes. I can see that that card is going to be a problem for me. I have a small lot, but big trees, but if I can buy another one, so what? And as far as the convenience centers are going, I think they're fantastic. The only thing I would recommend with the garbage carts is that I clean mine out, some of my neighbors don't. They can easily put a couple hundred flies into the air. I think maybe we ought to consider every once in a while the county going through and just giving them a spray like they do in some other towns, just to keep that vector of infection down. And I know, I've called before and I say, hey, do you guys have any way to clean it? Even if you could take it to a convenience center and just, pop it in an automated cleaner, that'd be great.
I think that the new RFP does include supplemental services, and one of those services that you could pay for separately would be cart cleaning.
Oh, yeah, but my point is, if I pay for it or I clean mine and my neighbor doesn't, we still have the same.
Very true.
They just go over
They
there,
go over there. Yep.
and do their fly thing
All
or
right.
mosquito thing or whatever, rats.
You're buzzing around. I
Yeah.
get it.
Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Thank you so much. I
Have a great
appreciate
day.
it. There you go. Yes, sir.
One quick question.
Okay.
I live in Sebastian.
Uh-huh.
Now, Waste Management has been sending me a bill.
Yes.
They dropped off a container, I don't know, months ago. I haven't
Okay.
used it. I called the town up and asked them if I could bring the garbage bill there, because I don't request it. And is the county gonna be taking up the garbage now, and I pay Sebastian separately and then the
No.
county, or?
So for you, you live in the city of Sebastian. The city of Sebastian has their own contract with their own hauler. So for you, the only thing that we would take care of would be your recycling. So any questions you have related to garbage specifically would have to go through the city of Sebastian. But if you have a recycling cart, because I know you mentioned that earlier, that's too big, we could help facilitate getting you a smaller one if you so desired, but only for recycling.
And you pick up the yard waste too?
No, in Sebastian picks up the yard, or their contractor picks up the yard waste.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Welcome.
Hi. My name is Jeff Brower. I live at 185 14th Avenue, and I clean garbage cans for a living.
Fantastic.
For real. I'm up here to talk to you about some of the services that I hope is considered when you review the new contracts. The age of the trucks. The age of the trucks need to be considered. Right now, I believe in Indian River County, we probably have the oldest decrepit trucks throughout the state of Florida because of the rate we're paying. Everybody talks about hydraulic fluid on the roads. Yeah, hydraulic lines break, but every day I'm out cleaning bins, I see broken down waste management trucks because they're so old. Sebastian, they got a new contract, all of a sudden 3 new trucks appeared. I was like, okay, that's how it works. And I guess that's how it's gonna work. Standardized routes. periodically I send out surveys to all my customers. I serve over 700 customers a month to clean their bins. One of the questions I asked them, what do you think of the service? 38% of the questionnaires I sent out came back, I don't like the fact that they come in, whether it's garbage or recycle, they get it at 6 o'clock or 6:30, 7:30, 8 o'clock. And then my other bin sits out there all day until they finally show up at 5:30, 6, sometimes 6:30. There's no reason in this day and age with the electronics that there should be standardized routes. You should be able to have a garbage and a recycle truck, side loader, work together, start at the beginning of their daily route and end at their daily route. Right now, I can't increase my business because I can only clean so much because of the way it's so mismatched. One starts here, one starts there. Well, I have to clean both bins. I can't clean them until they're both empty because I'm not a sanitation company. So these are things that need to be looked at in the new contract. Because the people of Indian River County, they deserve an excellence of service. And right now, they're not getting that. And that's about all I have to say.
All right.
Other than, sorry, Laura, for the multitudes of emails I sent you a little while ago.
I've missed you lately.
Thank you so much for your input. All right, anybody else from the public? Coming up, ma'am.
My name is Marjorie Royal. I live at 3925 62nd Avenue. That's about 4 blocks west of the sheriff's office, if that gives you any indication. And then at the end of the street, you turn off 62nd Avenue and go to the end of the street. Now, what do I want to know? I want to tell you that I was trying to take one of the carts out, the recycling cart, which is bigger than this. 2 years ago, I took it out and I fell. I went to the hospital, did the rehab, all the stuff you do when you fall, when you get old. And my son picked me up, made sure that I got there. And it was all because of the part. It was too big for me, so forth and so on. This size cart would be much better. So I think maybe you have some things that, but I'm wondering about the size carts of the other two, if you have this size for garbage and.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. What size is that called?
35 gallon?
So what it's called?
Yes, ma'am.
I live alone now because I've lost my husband, I've lost my son on fentanyl. They say that's not in this county, but believe me, it's being sold in this county. I don't know what I was gonna say. I
If you
can't.
need while you're gathering your thoughts, if you need a smaller cart, you can give us a call and we can help facilitate
Okay, can
that
you
for
give me that number? Because I don't have that number.
Himanshu will give you his card and you can reach out. Sorry, Himanshu. Do you have enough cards? Hold on, we're getting it for you.
Can you give me the number of the man that said he cleaned the carts? Or the
Well,
garbage cans?
I tell you what, yeah, we can't really do that, but he knows where you are and if
It's
you
on the
sit
back
back
of his
down,
shirt. It's
he'll
on the
come
back
back
of his
over
shirt.
there
All
and
he's got to
find
do
you.
is stand up. Thank you.
I guarantee you he'll be
Appreciate
over
it.
lickety-split. All right, thank you so much. We appreciate your input. Yes, sir, welcome.
Hopefully, last one. My name is Stephen Hughes, 7805 First Street Southwest. I live out towards the dump, and you've answered most of my questions, and I appreciate that. And what I'd like to, I didn't understand whether the transfer stations were going to stay open.
Yes,
under contract.
absolutely.
I encourage that because over the years, we've seen many, many people dumping things out there after hours and things like that, from boat in the road, no trailer, trailers later on, mattresses, trees cut up, blocking the roads, and my personal favorite was a 6-foot shark, so yeah, just wanted to encourage you to.
Well, not only do you find interesting things at the transfer stations, but I'm from Fellsmere, and that's where you go to find out who's doing what in town and all the hot gossip. So we got to leave them open for that reason alone.
Yeah. So,
Thank you. We appreciate your comments. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Marie again.
Mm-hmm.
Just to be crystal clear, I'm in the city of Sebastian.
Yes, ma'am.
So the county waste management contract has nothing to do with me?
Correct.
That's correct.
Well, I've called the city manager's office several times, and the secretary told me it was the county.
The only thing that if you are in the city limits of the city of Sebastian, the only thing that we do for you is the recycling.
Okay.
So the garbage collection is a contract that the city of Sebastian has with Waste Management, and we, as the county, have nothing to do with that.
Okay, so even though it's waste management,
Two different contracts.
It's two different
you have
contracts.
nothing to do with it?
Correct,
And their contract that they signed without taking a vote from the residents?
correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, anybody else?
They meet tonight at 6 o'clock,
They meet tonight at
City of Sebastian.
It's about something else.
I don't think they're allowed to speak.
So Debbie Perez, 6165 First Street Southwest. I just wanted to address this gentleman here. Because we're a subscription service, we cannot run the garbage and recycling routes simultaneously, because we pick up one home on subscription, have to go 3 or 4 homes, so that's the only reason why it can't be standardized. Did you understand? So because we're a subscription garbage service, we cannot run the garbage truck and the recycling truck at the same time, because not everybody has garbage service. Everybody has recycling.
No, but you
Okay.
could start in the same area.
Well, maybe this is a conversation that could happen offline after the meeting, just to keep us all moving forward. All right, anybody else from the public? Commissioners, any other questions, comments, or concerns before I throw it to Hamachu for a wrap-up? Did Sue make a video or something, like a Carter's Corner jaunty video to wrap up this workshop?
Oh, that
I
would've
feel
been
like you
great.
missed an opportunity there, Sue. But yeah, we have. I'll have to wear it next time.
Going to dress up as Thor?
We'll have to bring Carter in. You want to go over are you going to go over the next steps, or?
Yes,
Okay.
sorry, Commissioners.
No, you're good.
So Commissioners, again, thank you for this opportunity for the special call meeting. Thank you to the public that attended. I think we heard a lot of great input. So the next step is to get your, we said no decisions, but we would certainly like your input on this, is would you like to have the next meeting at the regular board meeting on April 23rd, 2024? Again, the selection committee would be coming to you with a recommendation on one of the 4 options. Or would you like to have another special call meeting like this on Wednesday, April 24th?
Commissioners, do you have a preference?
Madam Chairman, I think probably a special call meeting would be in order. I mean, after the turnout we had today, I'm sure we may even have more turnout. I got to admit, I was wrong about the turnout today. I didn't think it would be as many people that were here earlier. I'm glad to see it, but I would say it's probably going to take up about the same amount of time as today.
And-
It's just my opinion. I'm good either way, whatever your side is agreeing.
I would defer to the group, whichever you prefer. The only thing I'll point out is on the morning of the 24th, we do have an AHAC meeting at 9. So it would have to be after
We'll work
that.
with the county administrator to make sure we look at all of your schedules and try to pick a time.
Does that work for you, gentlemen, on my other side here?
That's fine.
Special call meeting, okay.
Yeah,
again, we wanted to do it about 4 weeks from now, just to give everybody an opportunity to kind of understand the process and whatnot. We as staff, I know this was a big presentation at the beginning, but we will be going over more things than just residential. One thing I didn't mention about residential is we do have backdoor service for folks that need it. That service would continue with the new franchise.
Okay.
But we would be talking about multifamily, talk more about commercial services, and so on and so forth, and
Okay.
other provisions of the contract.
Fantastic. All right,
Anything
well,
else?
anything, ladies? No? Well, I appreciate everybody from the public being here. Thank you for your input. Please stay engaged in the process, and as soon as we have a time for our next meeting, we'll let you know. And with that, we stand adjourned.